Welcome all my art students out there. Today we have a special drawing. It is going to be a cartoony version of a real-life dog, a Dachshund, also known as a Wiener dog, named Lincoln, named after the rock band Linkin Park. So today as we draw, we're going to do something a little bit different. So we're not going to draw our lines super clean. We're going to sketch to the max. So instead of making very clean lines, we're going to make very, very, very loose lines very, very lightly. So to start here, what you probably need is a mechanical pencil, or if you just have a wooden pencil, make that pencil really, really, really sharp so you have a nice fine point. And you want to maybe loosen up on your grip or choke back on the grip of your pencil so you're holding it further back. So you are holding it lighter. You do not want to make dark lines while we sketch with this style of sketching. Okay, it's going to be a very loose, very light style of sketching where instead of just making one line, we're going to make multiple lines and kind of mold out the line to make the best one. Kind of like if we're molding clay. That's a good way to think about it. So I have my regular size digital paper here. I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit, and then I'm going to get rid of the options on the screen so you can see it a little bit more clearly. And the first line I'm going to put is just a line, kind of sketch out a line like this. And notice these lines are very, very, very loose. And then this line is going to kind of come up. And this line will kind of come up. And you're noticing I'm sketching very different than I have been in my previous videos. These lines I'm just making super, super loose. Super, super loose. Okay? Not even that worried about erasing the parts that I don't like yet. So go ahead and just make these loose, loose lines with me. This is kind of a fun way to draw because it's really relaxing when we draw like this. We don't have to worry about making all the lines perfect. As you can see, I'm kind of figuring out which line do I really want. And then once I do, I'll just kind of darken that area up a little bit more. So we're doing some very, very, very loose sketching. This line right here, I'll eventually erase that line. And once I get to this point, I'm going to sketch a circle. Over here, I'm just going to sketch a bigger circle. And then maybe throw in some eyebrows. And this is a relaxing way to draw because you really don't have to be so strict. Just really loosen up those lines. Now here I'm going to move my dog drawing, make him a little bit smaller, maybe kind of center him about right here so everyone can see him well. I'll zoom out, and then right here we're gonna, oops, I don't know how that happened, get rid of that. And here I'm going to sketch out a line from this lower part of the eye, right there. And it's going to be a longer line. And notice here, I'm not fixing my mistakes like I did before. I'm just sketching away. From this point, what we're going to do is draw the nose, which is kind of almost an upside down triangle shape. Just be relaxed here with your pencil. Super, super relaxed. Look at that. And what you'll find is, even though we make the wrong lines, the right lines will show if we go over them enough when we sketch in this style of sketching. Okay, from here I'm going to maybe sketch out a line here and then pull this up all the way, let's see, maybe about right here. Okay. Kind of clean up that line a little bit. And we clean up lines with this loose style of sketching by going over that line multiple times. Now, just to give you a heads up here, some people are totally against this style of drawing, but I like it. It's a good way to sketch and pen too. If you've ever seen people sketch and pen, they can follow the same style with pen. So let's go ahead and bring this line down here, and then we'll pull it up here. And then about right here. Look like that. This line a little bit thinner. What I notice, students that sketch with this style of loose sketching typically enjoy drawing more than students who don't. That's been my experience. And the reason why is because sketching becomes like a relaxing activity instead of a stressful one. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, the ear is just not looking right. So I'm going to sketch out this ear. It's way too small. I'll draw that ear out a little bit more. And I'm looking at the mouth, and the mouth is too big. So I'm just going to resize this a little bit right here. Make it more like that. I'm taking my eraser now. Start to clean up some of these lines. And I'm going to step back a little bit and look at this dog named Lincoln, and think, what else do I need to add here? Oh, Lincoln needs a tongue. So his tongue is going to come out right here. Just like that. And here I'm going to take my eraser and clean up this line, these lines. We don't need those guidelines anymore. And for the tongue, really, really easy way to draw the tongue. Just draw one little line like that. You don't have to go all the way to the end, but just stop right there in this area right here. Okay, let's go ahead and move on here. From here we can kind of sketch out a line, and right here, sketch out some lines, trying to get the lines that I want. And this is going to be a fun part. This line goes all the way out and then comes up. We're going to over-exaggerate this line a little bit, making it a little bit longer than maybe normal. I mean, I guess there are some Dachshunds that are this long. And then we're going to pull this line down here. See that loose line I just made? And then the line right here, we're going to draw that line coming down. And then we're going to kind of connect here, come here, and then come up. Look at these loose lines. Okay, let's work on the back leg here. Draw a curved line there. Sketch line there. Zigzag back. Okay, I'm going to zoom out and see what I think about that. I'm okay with it. Might need to be a little bit thinner, his legs, his feet. Maybe something like that. Let's go ahead and do the back leg. Kind of have it come here. Oops. Right there. Okay. Let's work on the front leg. Actually, we'll work on the back leg first. So this leg will come down here. Line will come down here. And we'll have a leg starting here, coming down. Now I'm making these very, very loose. So when we go over them with pen, it's a lot easier. Okay. Now I'm looking at this and I think this leg need to come in just a tad. And then we're going to add a little tail. Very, very simple tail here. From there, let's go ahead and add in some color, or we'll kind of section off the section that will have color. Add in some different values of brown here. And then maybe right here we'll just kind of put in a spot of brown, maybe under its belly. Maybe a little spot here too. Now I can go ahead and start to clean up some of my guidelines a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time doing this. And we need a collar. Let's go ahead and give Lincoln a collar. Let's see, we'll kind of let it hang right there. Have it come out a little bit more. It'll be a little bit loose. And then kind of, it'll be its little tag at an angle there. I'm going to go through and kind of really look at these hands, and I feel like this paw is a little bit too big. So I'm going to go back and adjust. As we talked about before, there's a lot of adjusting in art, going back and just really looking at your lines and seeing if you like them or not. And that's why we sketch and pencil. I mean, if we were going to get it all right the very first time, then why even use pencil? So let's see here. I kind of want this line to be a little bit more rounded. I want it to come out a little bit more and then go in. And maybe this line here, start in a little bit more before it comes out. Like that. So I'm going to kind of sit back for a sec. I'm going to look at our dog. And there's a few things I still want to change. Man, that ear, I think it still needs to come down a little bit more. So we're adjusting. Yeah, I like that a lot more. Instead of a point, it's not a gremlin. It's a Dachshund. So we'll give it a little bit more of a curve there, a little bit more of a curve here. So at this point, I think it is about time to go over our Lincoln drawing with ink. So what you're going to do is just pull out your ink pen, your black ink pen, and start to go over these lines. I'm going to pull down the value so you guys can see the ink lines over the pencil lines to help you out there a little bit. Let me see. Yeah, we'll use a super thick ink pen. Make sure I'm on the right layer. You know what? I don't like that ink pen. Just gonna go use my regular studio pen. Yep, I like that. And this is the part where we're going to really go over and solidify the lines. Now, during this process, it might be a good idea to have some good music. Something that's going to help you focus. Put a little white line here, two little white lines here, just to show the light reflecting off the pupils. And we can probably just shade these in too. Not going to do anything too fancy with the color. And the inking process, which is what we're doing right now, is actually so relaxing because you don't have to figure too much out. Your sketch lines are already there. The hard part's done. You just get to go in and clean everything up. Now, some people love the inking, part of making art. Some people love the sketching. In the comic book world, there are people that just do all the penciling, and there's people that do all the inking. Sometimes people do it all themselves, and sometimes people have other people do them for them. Okay, its nose is looking good. I want to add a little line right there. Maybe a little bit thinner. I'm liking him. Lincoln's a good dog. When I first met Lincoln, I thought he was named after those Lincoln Logs. Which, if you're not familiar with Lincoln Logs, they're a toy that are little wood logs that you can build things out of, which I thought would be a perfect name for a brown wiener dog. But I found out that Lincoln was really named after the band Linkin Park, which I think is pretty awesome. You're noticing I'm turning the paper to make certain lines because I can only get certain lines at certain angles. So feel free to do that with your sketchbook as well. Turn it around if you need to, especially in the inking process. I'm going to evaluate this and think, man, this line is just too thin, even for a cartoon. Okay, I'm liking that so far for a fun little cartoon drawing. Let's go ahead and draw in the little line for the spot on his belly and back. There we go. What a neat Dachshund. I think Dachshunds are cool. Now, I'm not going to lie, my preference dog of choice is the Golden Doodle. If you don't know what a Golden Doodle is a mutt. But a Golden Doodle is part Golden Retriever and part Poodle. So you get a big fluffy ball fur that doesn't shed. Okay, at this point I'm going to remove the background layer. You can do this just by letting this dry for about 5 minutes. After it's dry, what you can do is erase the pencils in the background, and it should look something like this. Now, be careful. Depending on what type of pen that you use, you may need to take another piece of paper and put over the paper that you just drew on, that you inked on, and press down very gently to absorb some of the loose ink. Depending on what ink pen I use, I have to do that myself many times. Just cleaning up a few little lines here that I'm not happy with. And then I'm going to go ahead and start adding in the colors. So I'm going to duplicate this layer. And then I'm going to start to add in some color. So let's see here. We have our, let's see. Let's find a good color. Be right there. Now I'm just going to do this very quickly. You can do this with color pencil. If you don't have color pencils, you can just use a pencil, just regular wooden pencil, and add in the shading on your own and just make it lighter. You fix this little part. I left too much of a gap. Let's find a neat color for the tongue. I like that pink. And then let's go ahead and put in the grayish color. Let's see how that looks. Let's try this. Am I happy with that? Experiment around a little bit. Oh, way too light. Okay, there's our grays. And let's go ahead and finish this little arm. Can't forget the mouth, the lips. And the nose. The nose will go a little bit darker. And then let's do a nice red collar. I don't know. Can't remember what color Lincoln actually wears, but A nice little silver tag. And then let's go ahead and put in some more like what we would call cell shading. And this is going to be shading over certain little areas. So you can do this if you have like a white gel pen, or you can do it if you haven't colored yet. You can go back and make these areas lighter, and you can do that just I'll go ahead and demonstrate here how we can do that digitally. Maybe this little area right here. Oops. I'll go ahead and make it a little bit darker. See if it's letting, oh, nope, it's not letting me do it like this. I'm going to have to select it more manually. Oops, dang it. What am I doing? Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and select. Wait, I should be able to do it. Let me try this. I'm trying to figure this out here. I'm trying to learn something new too. There we go. That we know. Let's try it like this. We'll just do it the old school manual way. Still learning how to use this digital program. For cell shading, I'm used to Toon Boom Harmony. Which is an animation program. Okay, a little bit of a shadow there. Let's see, we can go lighter here and then make some selections. Maybe right here on his nose. Can do that. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Adding a little bit of a lighter area to show some reflection. We can do it right here on the dog's head too. Oops. Like that. And maybe on the ear. Maybe, let's see, about right here. And maybe right here as well. Let's go ahead and do a little spot on its back, maybe right here. And then some reflection off of this part of his back. And then maybe right here. When you have darker colors, light typically shines off of it. So it's good for us to make that clear. And maybe there's a little spot here too. Okay, and on the nose, maybe right here on the bottom part of the nose, we can add maybe a lighter color. Like that. And let's do the tongue too, maybe at the tip of the tongue. I'm going to clean this one up a tad. And maybe even the collar. Take this red, maybe just like right here. Oops. No, not the whole thing. Just this area right there. Okay. Let me step back here and look at our dog drawing. I don't know. I think we can add a little bit more. Okay, a little bit more. How about on the cheek? Maybe right here. And maybe just a tad right here. I do want to clean up this line. Okay. So we step back here and we look at our dog. What we can do now is just to add some shading. There's a lot of different ways we can add shading. So we're going to go ahead and get a brush here and show you some different ways. Here's a really easy way just to, let me get a lighter brush. Maybe this. Just kind of throw in some shading just like that. And we can add a little bit more though. Let's see. I can't match the color, that's okay. So maybe something like that. And we have Lincoln. Good old Lincoln. I'm happy with him. What do you guys think? You like Lincoln? Do you like the real Lincoln? The Lincoln at Golden Valley? I do. It's my favorite dog on campus. But there are no golden doodles at Golden Valley. So anyways, so here's Lincoln. Hope you guys enjoyed drawing Lincoln, the real life dog, in cartoon form. Thanks for joining in today. And as always, if you want to send me your pictures of Lincoln, you can do that. You can email them to me or you can message them to me. Anyway, you can share your pictures and I'll share with other people. So thanks for joining today at Tripp's Art Class.